Donald Trump did a pretty wild interview on Real America's Voice, and fascinating bits came out of this, and so we're going to walk through a number of different clips. The first here is him answering the question of kind of, what do you think of DeSantis? It looks like he might be preparing to challenge you in the 2024 presidential GOP primary, and here is Trump's response.
I got him elected, pure and simple. He would have never, if I said I wasn't going to endorse you, and I was close, there was no reason to go wild about endorsing him. He was very nice in the sense of the Mueller hoax. He was one of about 100 congressmen who fought for me, and so I felt I might as well endorse him because I didn't know Adam Putnam. But he was at 3. He was ready to drop out of the race. It was all done. Adam Putnam had that nomination locked up. The Republican nomination for governor of Florida. He had it locked up. It was done. And when as Adam Putnam said to me when I met him a year later, I didn't know him at all, but I saw him. He said it was like a nuclear bomb went off, a nuclear weapon went off when you.
Okay, so the same narrative we've heard from Trump, that DeSantis shouldn't challenge me because I made him as a political figure and got him to the position of governor. And with so many of the individuals that Trump takes credit for making, sometimes he'll say, Mitch McConnell owes his victory to me. Just doesn't seem to be evidence to that effect. But DeSantis is an occasion where I actually agree that Trump did make his gubernatorial race, or at least very much assisted in that. And that is no better represented than the way that DeSantis tried to clearly make himself out to be the most pro-Trump person ever, putting out that incredibly cringy video where the whole campaign ad is just him showing how much he's brainwashing his child into loving Trump and teaching him about the border wall and just how wonderful Trump is. That was DeSantis's brand. And so I do think it's fair to say that Trump made his political career, at least that part of it, running for governor. But that doesn't mean he might not still want to challenge you. Here's him getting asked about being held accountable for the January 6th insurrection.
What about January 6th? Do you think Merrick Garland is going to indict you regarding January 6th? And what would be the fallout if he decided to do that?
Well, I can't imagine, because I did absolutely nothing wrong. I had a speech. It was peacefully and patriotically, which they never talk about.
Right.
All of the other things that have come out, we've done absolutely nothing wrong. I protest to this day. I protest that election. That election was a disaster. It was a rigged election. But I did absolutely nothing wrong having to do with January 6th. And everybody knows it. And frankly, the government knows it, because they use that in cases against other people. So unfairly are they treating other people that are right now in jails. And Antifa and BLM and all these others that have killed people in different places, people, and set everything on fire, nothing happens with them. So I think it's really unfair, the treatment.
It's difficult responding to these types of clips because so many either lies or dishonest mischaracterizations of situations are stuffed into a very short clip, so it's a lot to go through. But first, how dangerous it is that something as horrible as January 6th occurred that represented the breaking down of trust in our democratic process based on lies told by people like Trump, and how his response to that event now is, yeah, it was rigged. So he's supporting the narrative that caused all of it and is not backing off of that, and then saying that something incoherently trying to make the point that people who attacked the Capitol on January 6th are being treated poorly. Then he tries to connect that to the Antifa riots. And they always make the claim that no one was held accountable for property damage that might have occurred. He said lighting buildings on fire. And that's just not true. There were arrests based on those situations, but also all the killings and all that they pretend happen are very inaccurate. Next moment from this interview: the evangelical Republican population is turning on Trump, or at least not throwing their support behind him just yet. And this was his response to that.
You were the ultimate fighter, the ultimate counterpuncher for sure, and that makes me think of evangelicals, why they loved you twice in those elections. And when you announced your candidacy, at least as it stands now, some of these prominent evangelical leaders who backed you last time, they're not yet willing to commit, like Robert Jeffress is not, some others. It seems like many of them are waiting to see how the field takes shape before backing anyone. What is your message to them?
Well, I don't really care. Look,
and I just want to say, the audio is not something going on here with the show. It's on the clip's end, or this interview's end.
It's a sign of disloyalty. There's great disloyalty in the world of politics, and that's a sign of disloyalty because
he's doing this interview underwater.
Nobody, as you know, and you would know better than anybody because you do such a great job, nobody has ever done more for right to life than Donald Trump. I put 3 Supreme Court justices who all voted, and they got something that they've been fighting for 64 years or many, many years.
Right.
And nobody thought they could win it. You know, they won. Roe v. Wade, they won. They finally won. And, you know, I was a little disappointed because I thought they could have fought much harder during the election, during the 22 election, because, you know, they won, and a lot of them didn't fight or weren't really around to fight, and it did energize the Democrats. But a lot of the people that wanted and fought for years to get it, they sort of, I don't know, they weren't there protesting and doing what they could have done. But with all of that being said, there's nobody that's done more for the movement than I have, and that includes the movement of evangelicals and Christians and the movement very.
Okay. So as with every group in America, no one's done more for them than Trump has. We know. But it's interesting because one of the things he said there was it was disloyal of the evangelicals to not support him yet. And it shows you this distorted view that Trump has of the world, where loyalty is the thing that matters most to him in a situation like this. But your job as a politician is not to have a group of people that are just loyal to you no matter what. You get to present things to the voters, and then we decide, do we want to put you in for this amount of time, the next election? Do we want to keep you in or kick you out? And so him believing that the evangelicals, just because he's Trump, should support him without even knowing if someone else will challenge him that they might like better is very incorrect, to say the least. And I hope the evangelical Republicans absolutely don't support Trump going forward. It's always been a huge contradiction, but as we know, who they will go for isn't necessarily going to be wonderful. Then finally found this interesting, him talking a little bit about the Kevin McCarthy speakership debacle.
And speaking of that, Kevin McCarthy, if you look at what happened, that was what did they have, like 16, 17 votes? That turned out to be a blessing in disguise because I think it really unified and brought the Republican Party together. Yeah. It was an amazing thing. You know, for a while you're saying, what?
That brought the Republican Party together. Oh, interesting analysis. Okay.
What's going on? Some people say embarrassing, and I would say that's true. And if you notice, and even the fake news media was nice to me on this, I was the one that got those votes together so we could get this thing done. But I think it brought the Republican Party together. The Republican Party is very unified, and between Jim and Jim, and
okay, we'll stop it there. No, the Republican Party is very divided. And one of the things they've been good at for a long time is when the time comes that it's necessary, unifying to defeat Democrats, usually, of course. And in this situation, they're just so caught up in their own infighting that it's making the Democrats look really, really good. And the Republican Party look very, very bad, disorganized, unserious, and all those different things. Let me know what you think, Luke P. Beasley on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get a full extra show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley, and there's a link in the description.